Hi, I'm Chris Wilson. One of my favorite things to see in the games industry is when a studio loves an old genre-defining game so much that they create their own modern spiritual successor so that a new generation of gamers can experience what the original game pioneered. Today I'm going to play and give some design commentary on a game called Legend of Grimrock, which is the spiritual successor to Dungeon Master, a game that originally came out in 1987 on the Atari ST. I got Dungeon Master a few years later on my Amiga 500 when I was around 9 years old and played a whole lot of it. While I'm not going to claim that it was the very first dungeon crawler with a first-person perspective, it was the one that brought this particular style of RPG to a wide audience at the time. It had grid-based movement, real-time combat, a 4-character party, rune-based magic, and environmental puzzles. It was quite diegetic. You'd reach into the scene to interact with buttons and place objects on pads. Compared to other dungeon crawlers of the time, it was a huge step up in terms of immersion. As a kid playing it, I honestly found it terrifying, in a good way. But people stopped making games like this. Once Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, and Quake came out, 90-degree rotation gave way to full 3D environments. And then Diablo 1 came along and totally changed how people saw real-time RPGs. 25 years later, a small team from Finland called Almost Human created Legend of Grimrock as a spiritual successor to Dungeon Master. I played it when it came out in 2012, but that was 14 years ago now and I can barely remember anything about it. I'm really interested to see what I think about the design of this game now that I have a bunch more game design experience than when it first came out. Let's give it a shot. Okay, The Legend of Grimrock. So I believe the plot is that you're a group of prisoners that have been thrown into this dungeon, pardoned for your crimes. If you can escape, you get to go free. And so movement is on a grid where you are moving and can rotate 90 degrees at a time. You can strafe left and right as well. And light obviously matters a lot. And so this inscription says, choose your fate, perish in the cell or pick up the torch. So we pick up the torch, causing the door to open. And if I put it in my character's hand, I'm now carrying the torch around with me, which means I can see. And I believe that the torches will run out over time. For the time being, it says it's bright, so we're okay. But I should look for more. Actually, I notice staring directly at this wall here, there's a button I can click. I assume this is teaching the player about secrets. Well, that guy looks kind of foreboding. Okay, some boots, put them on him, and a shuriken. So my plan here is I've got my party of 4 characters. There's this guy here who is a fighter, and this guy here is a Minotaur fighter. So they're the front line, basically. They have the ability to attack enemies directly in front of me, whereas these 2 characters here, the rogue and this mage, are in the back row. And so the rogue, for example, can throw the shuriken, which it automatically recovered. So I throw it, you can see it on the ground over there. Then as I come close, it puts it in the hand. And the mage has the ability to cast spells. It's a rune-based magic system. I think this is simpler than the one that's in Dungeon Master. And for that one, the spells are all a sequence of several different ones. So here, I assume you dial in a spell and cast it. And in that case, discover new spell, Fireburst. So I'm assuming that first rune there is fire. And you can probably, put some combination together. In that case, it did nothing. Okay, so I'm just wasting mana doing that. Okay, well, before my torch runs too low. Now, it's very tempting to just look at every wall to try to see if there's any secrets, like how we found the button in the previous room, but realistically it's going to take forever if I do that, so I'm just not going to bother. Okay, so my rogue here has a torch that's still bright, and my warrior is carrying an additional torch, and I'm just going to stockpile those. I note that they have an encumbrance system, so for example, it looks like the torch is 1.2 kilograms, and if I go over 63, my character's going to, I assume, slow down. Okay. It's interesting to have both an encumbrance system and also a grid, because I'm going to be limited on how much I can carry on the grid, but also limited in terms of weight, so I need to balance stuff between party members. Okay. Looks like we have some clothes. Let's stick them here and work out what we've got. So that's putting protection on this guy. I'm going to balance it slightly so that my Minotaur has a small amount of protection as well, as he's in the front line. Club, give it to the Minotaur. Okay, cool. I notice that things are pretty diegetic, like you can put things, I'll do it with you can put things in the scene, as opposed to it being very abstract. Okay. I hear like a shuffling sound of something in the distance. That's unnerving. Okay, so I have a pressure pad, which I notice when I step on it, it causes the door to open, and I assume I can't run. Okay, so there's a rock. Now, I put the rock on the pressure pad. This is teaching me how pressure pads work. Now, the first thing I think as a player is, what if I want to keep the rock? Because I assume you can, yeah, you can use it as a weapon. And I like that, but what I'm thinking here is if I take something like maybe this tunic, the idea, no, I'm not going to overthink it. I was thinking that eventually I'll find better armor, so I can throw a tunic away now by putting it on there. Okay, we have a key. All right. I do have a surplus of torches. It's tempting to go. All right. Okay, so I'm getting a little lost at the moment. They have a map feature. So old school Dungeon Master required you to draw this all on grid paper, and here you have something that maps as I go. So if I take a few steps forward here, it maps up to there. Okay, I'll take that. And so we can see here I haven't been down that passageway or in here. And they meet up. Okay, we have a key. Now, one cool puzzle they had early on in Dungeon Master was that there was a door that you could beat down, basically, instead of using up your key. If you just smash the door to pieces, it means you've got your key for later on. I don't think I'm gonna bother with that though, because I don't know that that will work here. Okay, there's another place that needs a key. Loose rock. Okay, well I think this is referring to that there. Let me just grab the torch. I'm always scared that there's going to be a monster around some corner. Okay, so this is reinforcing the same key mechanics. Now you notice I can walk around with the key on my cursor, like I can essentially have it on my cursor rather than having to stash it in someone's inventory, though I assume I can't fight like that. Okay, another torch. How many have we got? 5 torches. It may be that there's just plentiful torches, or they may just give them to you really early on, and then later on you have to rely on diminishing light. Okay, there's a monster. Okay. Now you notice the way I'm fighting here is to take a hit at it and then kind of back up. If I stand right next to it, then I'm just going to get hit repeatedly. And so basically I'm kind of kiting it away, taking a hit. And it's the way that combat works in these games. It's not really an exploit. In fact, it gets worse when you'll see when we've got a room that's 2x2, we get the ability to dance around monsters in a square. And that's how combat works here. And it works well until you have multiple monsters in the room and then you're pinned. So that monster dropped a snail slice, which I assume this is a reference to Screamer slices from original Dungeon Master, as far as I can tell. But basically, my characters have a food bar, and it's fine at the moment, but it says once it gets down to red, basically, at that point you don't regain health and energy. So while you have green or orange food, your characters will tick up their health and energy, which is used for both casting spells and also for doing attacks. And so you have the ability to rest at any stage, which depletes your food rather quickly, but basically regenerates, and it's good to do after combat. So food is helpful, and it's good that the monsters will turn into it. Okay, where are we going? I think what I'm going to do is put the torch there so I can hit with it in the meantime if I don't have a weapon. What am I looking for here? So that's just a lever that will open it. Stuff. Okay. Trousers, knife. Okay, boots go on. Minotaur can put boots on as well. He can wear trousers. Skill daggers. Does that... Okay, I don't know if I can effectively use that from the back row, but I guess we'll find out. Okay, what have we got? We have a throwing knife. Maybe the wizard can hold that. Okay. Did I miss anything? No, okay. I just get the feeling this dungeon is full of secrets that I'm walking right past because I am not inspecting every single wall. Okay, another snail. In fact, there's 2 snails there. You can see one behind. Okay, so this will show you... I'll show you what happens with combat if you... Actually, I learned how to do a fire spell before. Let's just incinerate it. So you get the ability in these rooms to kind of dance around the enemies like this. So here we have a 2x2 room and there's an enemy in it, so it can't hurt me while I'm here. I take a swing, move out of the way. And this is kind of a square dance that occurs in these kind of games. Now, of course, later on, once monsters are a lot faster and more powerful, you know, it's much, much harder. But it does raise a question. So at the moment, I'm just sitting here servicing cooldowns, essentially, and there's not a lot of tactical decisions that I have to make. You know, it's pretty much just going to get in there, get some hits. Okay. So I have some more food if I need it. More torches for the torch pile. Looking for a key. And of course, always looking for secrets. Okay, another room full of stuff. Okay, so that's a loincloth, which I'll give to the... give to my rogue to put on. Some sandals. Also for the rogue. This is some food, and there's an additional rock which will stack with that one. Okay, well, they're equipping me a little bit. Okay, I noticed that they have only a food mechanic rather than a water one. In Dungeon Master, they were both, and that had interesting consequences because you could get water from fountains that would refill that you'd find along the way. You know, you'd carry bottles and water flasks and stuff with you. Okay, got another rock, got some bread. I just keep feeling there are going to be secrets, but I can't spend forever looking for them all. Okay, so we've got a key we're looking for, which is for... Which door is the key for? That door. Oh, I guess I can type like need key or something. Okay, so if you're wanting to leave like long-term notes, you can. There's this mode called Old School, which doesn't have the mapping feature. You have to go and do it by hand. So this here is kind of the, you know, mass market appeal, beginner-friendly kind of mode that I'm running it on. Okay, to close the pit, something needs to fly. Okay, so there's the key I need. Here's a pit, and there's a pressure pad. So I assume I chuck that onto the pressure pad. Can I walk on this? Yep. Take the key. Now, if I pick this up, I'm on the pressure pad. So if I step off it, I will go down the pit. We don't want that. Okay. What can I spare, though? Like, can I spare a torch? Is that really okay? I kind of like the rock. Okay, I'm just going to throw a torch away. In fact, the torch I'm going to throw away is this one there. Okay, good. And here's the key. I don't like the look of that face. Okay, where are the monsters? Okay, I can see something ahead. Ooh. Okay, they're on the other side of the pit. That's fine for now. Okay, there's a door going up and down. Right, pressure pad. Okay. Can I get this snail back and drop it down the hole? Like, if the snail comes to me. Yep. All right. I mean, maybe that was the wrong choice. It may have been better to actually fight it for, like, experience and, you know, and to get the food from it and so on. But it's good to know that we can do that. Okay, what have we got? A scroll of fire burst. Okay, so this is telling me the spell that I guessed initially. That's cool. I guess I can use that scroll for pressure pads and stuff if I need to. Another rock. Got a loincloth that can go in the direction of my mage, who needs some armor, probably very fragile. Okay. I just feel that this is the kind of place where they're going to go and hide something. Okay, where are we going? Ahead. There's a pressure pad. Does that let us... Yep. Well, now we're in a room I can just dance around it, and it's pretty safe. I can just imagine backing up down a hole or something. Okay, did I pick that up? No, let's push it to the side. Okay. There's quite a lot. There was a room early on in Dungeon Master which was called the Screamer Room, which had essentially monsters like snails, very unaggressive ones that you could farm for food, and it regenerated them infinitely. And so it could be, for example, that this is essentially, you know, a snail room, which is just making snails forever. So I shouldn't have gone and... I shouldn't have backed myself here where I can't get through, because the snail can just eat me. Okay, so what am I seeing? Snail pieces. I picked up the rock and the knife I used. This is a blue gem. I don't know what that's for. There's a secret. Okay, well, what happens if we push it? It's for releasing for a short time. Am I meant to throw something? Nope. Okay, maybe I meant to put something through. Where's my scroll? Okay. I guess that was a puzzle. Okay. This is used for putting this up and down. Okay. Checking the map, we have now explored that area. I'm kind of interested to know what's down the hole. Unfortunately, the way to find out involves jumping down. I think that you can find rope in these kind of games that let you explore going down holes like that. Okay. I don't like the look of this. Heal my sight. Okay. Blue gem, right? We're looking for another one. That just felt like one of those kind of things that would spawn fireballs at me. Okay, so there's some kind of shambly guy walking around. And there's vines here. It's interesting how even a small change to the tile set immediately feels like you've hit a new area, because now there's a vine guy and vines on the walls. Okay. Alright, what are we going to do? There's several of them. The usual combat dance, so pull them out into a room. Yeah, this room's going to be large enough. Okay, so what was that? A herder cap, so those guys are called herders. How's my food levels? We're fine at the moment. Okay, my memory is there was at least one other. There's a grim cap, so some type of mushroom. The fire, oh, I could, if I can get into that room, I can then joust with them in that room. Okay, the fire works incredibly well on these guys. Okay, there's 2 of them. So I've got to be careful. There's the gem I need. I've got to be careful not to allow both of them in the room at the same time. Well, I'm glad the AI on these monsters is quite early, and so we're not really having them aggressively gang up on me. Okay, that picked up the shuriken. There's still 1 over there. There's a gem I need. Yeah, it's very interesting that in this game, the ability to move to the side and be completely impervious to the combat is essentially like a dodge roll in modern action RPGs. It gives you the ability to just not be where the damage is. I also wonder, in Grimrock, where if I'm here, I can't be hurt, if that means that the ability to move out of the way is just more important than any particular defensive item that I could have. This is very much how the combat has been designed in this particular game, though. And one of the reasons why people moved on to playing other types of RPGs over time. And one of the questions I'll be asking while I'm playing this basically is this type of combat actually good? Is it interesting? Does it get more advanced as we carry on? Okay, a tar bead, and there's a lever. Okay, so I'm assuming that opens up this, which then lets me get the gem, which then lets me complete the puzzle before. Oops. Actually, I should consider whether I want to rest. What does that do? That's concerning. Okay, a door is opened somewhere. Right, okay, in here. Another tar bead. Some cave nettles. Okay, I think the reagents are going to go on my mage. And I'm going to give the food to the Minotaur. He's strong. Okay, and a dagger. Does that go in my Minotaur's spare hand, maybe? Okay. So how am I doing health-wise? Oh, I'm fine. There is a question where, like, you have these situations where, because of the padding that the designers have used on the levels, you can kind of see where secrets might be. Like, the space here, potentially there could be a secret, but it's unlikely that there can be one in here because it's really narrow. And so you get the ability to kind of work out what areas are suspicious based on the efficiency the designers have used, rather than actual environmental cues from the dungeon itself. Okay. Oh dear. That's a horrible jump scare. Okay, do I have a room I can use? Yes, I do. Am I actually doing enough damage with this torch? Like, would it be better for me to use... I do a lot more damage with this club. Yeah, maybe the torch is the wrong thing to be using in that hand. Like, I could take one of these knives, potentially, until I find a better weapon. Or the spear. Okay. Okay, you can go in that hand there. Where does this knife go? Nowhere. So does this let me block? Okay, well that's exciting. So it was in here that the scary guy was. Okay, that's foreboding. So there's a cool door. There's a button. I just don't want to go pushing stuff yet. That's a scroll that says what? Doors of iron. Great rewards can be found behind these doors. To gain access, look very carefully for small details and use your wits. Okay, well, I mean, there's this thing. Oh, there's more than one of those, is there? I take the torch. Okay, so the two of them together. Whitewood wand, that sounds good. Does it still let me cast stuff? It does. Okay, so what does the wand do? Energy +5. Cool. And a scroll that I need to read. This one says, this magical staff is a powerful weapon when wielded by a potent mage. Okay, well, that's cool. What does energy +5 actually mean? I mean, energy seems to be some kind of mana. Okay. So this is kind of cool. I assume that as I level up, I get the ability to specialize in air, earth, fire, and so on. And it appears that there's some level breakpoints here. Like, at level 2, I get the ability to cast Fire Burst, which I can do. And then at level 6, I get Fire Resistance, and then I get another spell, and I get some extra strength and so on, all the way up to eventually getting, like, insane Fire Resistance for getting to level 50 in it. Which is cool. And I assume the same applies to... Yeah, I see. So there's breakpoints for different levels for all of these different tracks that you can pick. Nice. Okay. So we've got this scary blue area. Okay, that's not a monster? Okay. What did that do? It seemed to fully heal me? And now it's... Okay. I assume that's some kind of, like, well-like thing, to use the Diablo terminology. Crystal of Life. Touch to regain health and restore life. Okay. Scroll of Poison Cloud. Okay, so the bottom left one is Poison Cloud. Now, I'm getting this colored effect, I think, is this torch that I've been using running low. The torch is dim. So, shall I let it run out before I... Dungeon level 2. Okay, in there's some snails. I'm worried that if I let this run out, I'm just going to be plunged into darkness, but it might be the most efficient thing to do for the time being. I mean, torches-wise, I have a few. Like, I have, you know, another 8 torches if I need them. Oh, there's a snail over there. Okay. I should try this Poison Cloud thing out. Not skilled enough to cast the spell. Okay. That's a shame. The cooldowns. Yeah, I can use this 2x2 space here. Okay, there was nothing in there, but it's good to get some space. Actually, speaking of torches, I wonder how many I've just left by not noticing as I've gone. I also note... So there's a mechanic where if I were to rest, I recover my health and mana, which is what the restoration crystal did. But that comes at the expense of food, where eventually I'm going to have to eat to get this bar up. I'll try eating on one of these characters. So if I go to the Minotaur and eat some snail slice, it went up a lot. Okay, so snail slices are a lot. Let's try a baked maggot on her and see how much that is. Quite a lot also. Okay. What I was saying though was that the restoration crystals are competing with food essentially. Like if that thing, like if I were to go back to it, it was over here. If I go back to it and it's gone off cooldown and lets me use it again, which it hasn't, and I don't know if it does, then it would be something that I can, you know, it's an alternate system which I'm using instead of food to recover stuff. So I do want to work out whether that's the case. Yeah, these guys are getting pretty easy. Mork gained a level. Which one's Mork? Oh yeah, I see it. It's this guy here. Okay, so what does that mean? I can put an extra point in... Sorry, I can put 4 extra points in these. Well, he's using a club, a mace. Do I want to commit to that? I mean, he seems to specialize in maces, so I'll put some more points in. What do I get? I get Vitality +1 at level 4. I mean... Are these use... I feel there's a lot I should be learning here, rather than just randomly putting points in. Okay, maces seems good. Unarmed combat makes in armors. Okay. And my warrior's gone up a level as well. Alright, let's just do maces. Okay, what's he got the abilities? He specializes in athletics and armors and swords. He doesn't have a sword though, so I'm not going to put more points in swords till I find one. I guess in the meantime, if I can get his armors up to level 5, he will get this health +10 bonus, and I'll put athletics in the meantime. Okay. So this is the room we were just looking in. Cap goes on. Rock goes in my rock pile. Where did my rocks go? Wait. There's my rocks. Yeah, I guess don't have them in a hand to throw. Suspicious. I'm expecting that torch to go out any second. Yeah, I quite like the tactility of items in this game. You know, the point you actually have them... Well, the torch is a bad example. We actually have a shield, you can throw it around. You know, it feels like it's literally got weight to it, whereas if I throw the shuriken, it goes much, much, much further. Did that pick up? Where did my shuriken go? Okay, first problem. Replenishing torch. There's the shuriken. Okay. Okay, torch has been replenished, so that's how long they last in total. Where are we at? Through here. Okay. There's a rock, there's another torch. Okay, I can hear shuffling. Okay, so we've got this door, that door, and a passageway. I'm just going to go back and check the passageway. Was that here? Yeah, it was this one there. This one wants a key. Okay, so I have 2 doors that I can choose to open. Let's do this one. Okay, so this has a doublet, silk hose, mole jerky, and dagger. I'm kind of just picking everything up. I don't know if that's the right choice. I mean, I guess I haven't hit encumbrance or capacity limits yet, so not a big problem. Okay, so that room was just freebies. That's good. Simplifies down. Okay, let me just check whether I can wear that. Can he wear that? What? Okay. That's not good. Okay, I failed there. Now, normally, I would say after a fight I want to rest in order to get my health back, but there's more of these guys. The fire is so effective on them. Okay, great. I've put myself in a corner. Yeah, it wasn't this room, was it? Oh, God. Well, I've got a 2x2 room, so he can't hurt me anymore. Now, I believe this guy leveled up, and that means I get to specialize some more. So I got that poison spell, and the poison spell required Was that Earth? Level 3? Let's find out. Okay, and then I go to him and I try to cast that one on the next monsters, like this. Out of energy. Okay, well I should rest. So you'll notice while I'm sleeping, my mana and life and stuff go up, but this is hurting my... Okay, interesting. Well, that was cool. Okay, he's still got some specialization he can do. Let's just do spellcraft. Okay, I'll just review where I'm at food-wise. They're mostly fine. Okay, I've got my poison one lined up. This was the room that those guys were in. I think this is where we're up to. Yep. A machete. Okay, well that could actually be well aligned with what my warrior needs. A compass, nice. A key. We did want a key. So what use is the compass? Oh, I see it. Let's just see which way we're facing. I mean, this is super helpful if we don't have this crazy map, but this unfortunately does show where we are. I like the diegeticness of having it so you're actually like leafing through a book to find the map that you've been keeping as you went. Okay, where's this door? It's up here. Will there be a jump scare? No. Big empty room. Shelter left, cells right. I mean, shelter sounds good, right? So I notice here there's a torch sconce on the wall. Yeah, I see. Heavy bassinet. I think my Minotaur can go with that. Protection 8, evasion -10 without heavy armor proficiency. And where's heavy armor proficiency? That's at 16. Okay, fair enough. That's interesting. So it's causing me to be less evasive to have this huge protection helmet on, but then I get the ability to just bypass that later. Okay, the poison cloud, did it actually, was it worthwhile? I mean, I guess it did some damage. Compare with how much damage this does. That did a lot more damage. Okay, snails like being fried. Come on, make up your mind. Okay, so you can pick things up through the grate. Hey, an arrow. That's a good sign. Sandball, hide vest, light armor. Protection +3, evasion -5 without light armor efficiency. So currently, well, how hard is it to get light armor efficiency? Maybe this guy. He's very close to light armor proficiency, so I suspect the answer is that I pass this over to him, and then he can wear it and be able to get rid of that penalty much sooner. Okay, so I think I have a key to that, but I haven't finished looking around all of this stuff. Okay, so I want that arrow, but I don't know how to get in. I'm assuming there'll be just a way to like open up all the cells at once or something. In which case I have everything I wanted apart from the arrow so far. Yep, okay, cool. So I'm just going to go take the key to the door. There is a sequel to this game, Legend of Grimrock 2, and it's significantly more outdoors, shall we say. Like, this is a dungeon, and Legend of Grimrock 2 has you actually walking around islands and so on. It's a good game. I haven't actually completed that one, but I think this one's a much more like indicative one to show how the game works than going on to the much more complicated sequel, which is good to advance to once you've already played a bunch of Grimrock 1. Okay. Right, so that's how we get into the back of that place with the arrow. So these are 3 poison arrows. I don't know if arrows are destroyed when you... if arrows are destroyed when you fire them, or whether you have the ability to recover them. Alright, so we have 2 pressure pads. What do they do? Okay. Alright. Okay, so basically it's a puzzle to have both of those on at the same time. I feel that they're gradually walking through a tutorial of all of the various simple puzzles, and things are going to get a lot harder later. Back to fire. I hear something. What's that? Oh, that's... okay, so over there is a restoration... okay, and there's a flying thing. The fire worked well on it. Ah! Okay, and my rogue leveled up. Where did my shuriken go? I tried to... there. Okay. Right, so she's leveled up. She's got assassination and daggers. Okay, it really suggests I should just be using a dagger from the back row. So maybe I could do it like that. So she's got a dagger. Assassination, dodge, missile weapons. So if she can find a bow, that'll be really good. Throwing weapons. I don't know. Not really my vibe. Like, maybe I'll try the dagger thing, and maybe some throwing weapons, and then... okay, well, she's got a dagger, she's got a shuriken. Okay. No weapons allowed inside. Do I just have to put my weapons here? Nice, you can just throw bits of them at each other. Okay, that's a problem. I really should stop backing myself into things. Okay. A rock. Mushroom. Key. Are there any secrets? Yes. Pointy shoes. Protection 1, dexterity +1. Okay. And then I'll steal that. Don't know what's down there. And this is where a key goes. I can hear something walking around. This type of game used to scare me when I was a kid, like... that holding cells, okay, that's kind of... I'll come back to that. Well, what was walking around? So I'm assuming that when I stand on this... huh. Uh-oh. That's not good. I mean, I should be fine. There's enough room in here. No. No, 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 no. That's a bad trap. Could I have predicted this, though? No, and now I'm trapped between the two of them. Oh, this is very bad. This is very bad. Out of energy. This is very bad. Oh dear. No. Well, that was embarrassing. I was kind of hoping and expecting to get a lot further through the game on my playthrough here, but, you know, I mean, it was a fair death, right? I stumbled right into a trap, and you can kind of see the moment when I realized that I was doomed. Once I saw the knights coming out of the walls, counted to 3, realized that I was going to get pinned against a corner, and there was nothing I could do. I mean, I wasn't playing the kind of playthrough where you load and save repeatedly to kind of save scum it, and so, you know, I died, and that's a fair death, so I'll accept it. I really like Legend of Grimrock. I'm not expecting it to be for everyone, but I think that back in the day, decisions really mattered a lot in games, and something like Legend of Grimrock lets you experience that kind of gameplay using a more modern engine that's more accessible. And speaking of engines, if you do try it out and like it, there's a whole dungeon editor and modding community and that kind of stuff to explore. Overall, I had a good time playing today. My memory is the game gets a lot more complex as you get deeper down the dungeon. Monsters get faster and scarier, and you get a lot more abilities yourself. Before playing today, one of the things I wondered about was whether the game would actually feel like you're a party of 4 adventurers moving around a dungeon together, or whether you just kind of be like one guy with 4 sets of equipment and 4 sets of cooldowns. And I do think it actually managed to have the party feel. Like, I felt that each of the characters did have a distinct role, even though I was just scratching the beginning of their individual skill lists. One of the Grimrock developers once said in an interview, "We knew we had to offer undiluted old-school gameplay combined with a nice presentation and a fluid graphical user interface which would appeal to a new generation." And I think you achieved this. If any of the developers from Almost Human are watching this video, I want you to know that I think you did a great job with Grimrock. As an old-school Dungeon Master fan, this is exactly the kind of game I was looking for. It completely scratched the itch, and I really wish that more studios would find a way of bringing back old classics with a fresh coat of paint for a new generation. Well, if you enjoyed watching me get slaughtered in this game, please like the video and consider subscribing. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.